I think when you look at the reason that Barclays is selling its stake in Barclays Africa, the first key point to make is the decision they're making is the 62% they own in Barclays Africa. So this does not influence any of the operations within Africa. It's their stake in Barclays Africa Group Limited, and Barclays Africa Group Limited is the entity that owns all the operations in the rest of Africa. So it's clear that all the operations in the rest of Africa there's nothing happening to them. I think that's the first point. The reason that they're electing to sell their stake in Barclays Africa Group Limited, Jez has made it very clear that it's around regulatory issues that they have been in the UK. So let's give some practical examples around that. A good example is the bank levy. They consolidate 100% of the assets of Barclays Africa onto their balance sheet, even though they own 62%. So they have to pay a bank levy on 100% of the assets in Africa. That costs a lot of money, and I think that those are the reasons they're talking about that reduces our returns from our 17% to their 9%. As I said, when we created Barclays Africa Group Limited in 2013, we took control of all the operations in Africa, and large portions of our strategy are not impacted by the PLC announcement at all. So let me give you really good examples. The rollout of bancassurance in the rest of Africa carries on no matter what. The work we're doing around our retail and business banking carries out no matter what around it. So all of those are pretty easy. There are certain parts of our businesses which we had a benefit on because of the relationship with PLC. So good examples of that is the multinational corporate business across the rest of Africa and South Africa it's the whole of Africa. And in that one, we now have to look at the relationship that we develop with PLC in the new structure around how we operate. But in our view, these are all solvable because we have one of the strongest capabilities across the African continent. We'd argue that multinational corporates would want to bank with us anyway. We'd also argue that we've had a very good relationship with Barclays PLC over the past 12 years. And because of those relationships, it would make absolute sense that PLC would continue their relationship with us no matter what the new structure looks like. So I think, who the buyers of this operation could be, or Barclays stake could be, I think we're in very early days. We're 2 months into the announcement at the moment. I think what's been publicly said by people like Maria and Jez is there's substantial interest in the stake. And that makes sense to us because we'd like to believe we're one of the strongest banking entities and financial institutions across the African continent. And it could end up in a variety of pictures, whether you get one buyer, etc. We would, however, say that the reasons for PLC pulling out, as we mentioned, or selling their stake, is around the fact of regulatory burden. And that would be true for any global bank. So the likelihood of another global bank being able to take such a big stake is probably quite small at this point.